Like if you're not the prettiest, if you're not looking at you and you don't get compliments when you're going out, you're just not loved. You're not worthy of love.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. Before we get into this topic for the day, I do want to put out a disclaimer that we are pro adoption. Although we
Mhm.
talk a lot about, challenges of adoption, we just want to let you know we do believe in the power of adoption when it's done right. In addition, if you're an adoptee and you have a story you want to share, we would love to hear from you. We're trying to get more guests on our show to share, to do an interview. I think a lot of our guests like that. And also, it's a very healing process for our adoptees as well. So,
Mhm.
if you're interested, you can either leave a comment down below in the video, or you can email us at adoptedgals, GALS, at gmail.com. So, adoptedgals at gmail.com. With
Mhm.
no further ado, we'll go ahead and talk about the topic.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Yes,
Even if
please.
you don't even want to be like on here, it's okay to have connection with, other adoptees and talk about the things that you've been through.
Yes.
And today's topic is about dealing with self-esteem, dealing with validation and wanting to get validation from outside. And that's something a lot of us adoptees have experienced because of what we've experienced. A lot of us tend to, want outside validation. So we're going to talk about that today. And it's something that I struggle with, and I know how it struggles with it as well. And we just felt like it's something that we want to talk about and kind of try to help figure out how to move from that and how to kind of learn how to deal with that because you've been given up. Yes, and it's a very traumatic thing, and you're gonna feel like you're not good enough, or like the thing that I ask myself that I know how I also ask for self is there something wrong with me? So I need to make sure that I do everything right. And a lot of times, a lot of us adoptees become people pleasers because of that. You want to make sure, okay, is that person validating me correctly? If they're validating me correctly, then that means I'm a good person at this, that there's nothing, wrong with me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we kind of talked a little bit about this topic, but I thought we thought it was very important to bring it up again, and
Hmm.
the reason that is because, like Fatmata already mentioned, because we were given up when we were adopted, we felt like no one really wanted us, right?
Hmm.
Even though there was a lot of justification in a lot of our cases of adoption,
Hmm.
it still gives us like we still think about, okay, like were we
Yeah.
not enough? Like was
Hmm.
us being who we are not enough for our parents to keep us and to take care and support us?
Hmm.
Um, and in some cases, if you were even adopted by your adoptive parents, or maybe sent to a different adoptive family, that thought probably like doubles down. Like, really, I must be horrible. I must be a horrible human being. I'm not enough. No one wants to
Hmm.
love me. And
Hmm.
so when that happens, when you have those trail of thoughts, and I know
Hmm.
I've experienced this, it really puts you in a position where you are not feeling like a whole person, because you don't know who you are. There's a lot of dysfunction. And
Hmm.
when you have that mentality of thinking there's something wrong with you always,
Hmm.
you're never going to feel settled in your life at
Hmm.
all, because you're always going to be chasing that feeling of validation. You want approval from the world that you are a lovable person. And the
Hmm.
truth of the matter is, you were born lovable, you were born enough, God created
Hmm.
you. And even if you don't believe in God, you're still enough, right?
Hmm.
You're still a whole human being.
Hmm.
um, and this dysfunction and unsettlement, I think I felt it for such a long time. And I think I'm just now getting to a point where it's starting to
Hmm.
settle down a little bit.
Hmm.
But I have to do a lot of work, a lot of therapy.
Hmm.
Um, and even this podcast, I think, has helped with that healing process, right? Of like talking, verbalizing how we feel.
Hmm.
And so it's starting to settle down. But I just remember the days where I just felt so unsettled up
Hmm.
here. And I
Hmm.
never knew who I was. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so I needed so much attention from my friends, attention from like men, especially.
Hmm.
Um, and like, I didn't really respect like authority, for example. Like, there was just, and I would go out of my way to cause like corruption and dysfunction, especially when it came to like authority. And that was because I was looking for attention. I was looking for um, people to stick with me through it, to show me that I am worth like all the challenges, I am worth all the hurdles and the ups and downs.
Yeah, that is so true. And that's another thing that we do tend to put people that actually do love us and are showing us that through the hurdles. Like, are you actually gonna be here with me? And that's something that I've kind of struggled with a little bit in my relationships, especially in my marriage. And something recently happened where my husband and I were arguing, and he caught me doing that, where I feel like I was saying things like, oh, it's me, I'm the problem, I'm the issue. And he said, stop it. He's like, you're doing that thing that you normally do. Stop thinking about yourself like that. And yes, I have gotten better with that, in no longer constantly telling myself approval of others is not something that you need. The approval that the approval that you want more than anything needs to come from you. But there's times where I fall short. Like, I fell short recently with an argument with my husband, and it's nice to have people that recognize that, and they see the flaws that come with, what we've been through, being adopted and given up, and the things that we struggle with, to be like, I see you for truly that who you are, and what you're trying to do is not who you are. So please, I'm asking you, don't be like that. So every single time you catch yourself with that, don't be too hard on yourself, because this is a process. It's not something that you can do overnight at all. Catch it and be like, that's not who I am. I don't need the approval of outsiders. My light and who I am, the love that I have for myself, is more than enough. And one thing that I have done to help me get to where I am and understanding that is, I have a list of affirmations on my mirror in my bathroom. And because I purposely put them there because I go to the bathroom a lot. So I'm always seeing those affirmations. I'm saying them to myself. So it gets rooted into my subconscious mind. So then that way I can truly believe that. Yes, you can say words, but until you believe them and actually move like that, it's not going to work. So I encourage you to do that as well.
Yeah. And
Mhm,
another way that I think this could show up, this feeling
mhm,
of like needing validation and feeling like there's something wrong with you,
mhm,
another way it can show up in your life, I think, especially when you're younger, is the
mhm.
fact that sometimes it makes us not take responsibility for who we
Yes.
are because we've never had full awareness and consciousness of who we are
Mhm,
as individuals and the wholeness of us,
mhm.
right? That we're trying to chase different images because we
Yeah.
think that's who we should be.
Mhm,
That it's hard to take responsibility sometimes for our own lives because we've never had ownership. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So there's a lot
Yes.
of
So true.
there's a lot of blaming sometimes. Oh, it's somebody else, or they're the problem, or
Mhm,
and I think this shows up maybe in various different aspects of our lives. I know that shows up
mhm,
for me in my relationship. Sometimes I don't have full awareness that, okay, I need to take responsibility. This is who I am. I chose
mhm,
this, right? And I need to take responsibility for that instead of just being like a victim or
mhm.
um, feeling like it's always somebody else's fault. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times it's easy for adoptees to do that.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
just with like our trauma, the
Mhm.
neglect we've had and everything. And so when you're so used to telling yourself, oh, it's my
Yeah.
my birth parents' fault, they give me up, it's their fault,
Mhm.
or my adopted parents' fault, all this. So it's really hard
To
when that's
Mhm,
something that you continue to sing in your head. It's hard to shift and be like, wait a minute, I'm responsible for my own
mhm,
life. I'm
mhm,
my own person. They
mhm,
may have had an effect of me when I was younger, but I get to take
mhm.
responsibility for my life as an adult, as
110%. Yeah.
so there's two
And I
sides of that coin.
Yeah, and I understand why, like how I mentioned it briefly, that your life wasn't yours when you're younger. Basically, two sets of adults made a decision for you, and you really had no say in it. And of course, you're a child, so parents are gonna parent you. That's what they're supposed to do. So, like, They had you during that time where, again, you lived your life according to how they wanted you to do. But now I think you do have to recognize, okay, where are my faults? Because at the end of the day, we all have faults. We do. And that is something that I have learned so well in my healing journey, is learning to take accountability in the things that happened with my birth. Well, my I can't really say much about my birth family and giving me up because I was a child, you know what I mean? But as an adult, like the things that happened with me and my adopted parents, there's times I've taken accountability, like, okay, you could have done something different there as an adult. Okay, when you were a child, you were a child, but you were an adult. And also a lot of that, you're gonna make mistakes if you haven't healed. If you're unhealed and things happen, you're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. But it's okay to recognize that when you're healing, okay, I made a mistake, I should have done something better. And that's going to help you with your next relationship and what to do and how to move in that relationship, because you've learned your lesson from past relationships. And this whole video should really be um approval addicts. I feel like
Oh
the
yeah, that's
should
just
be
yeah,
approval addicts, because I feel like that's what a lot of us are.
yeah,
And
totally.
also with when it comes to, you taking accountability and healing in your life, and you getting rid of the being approval addict, is to also see the people that play in that, as in who use you. Because if you're a people pleaser, because I feel like approval addicts kind of go hand in hand with being a people pleaser. If you
Yeah.
have people in your life who are actually using you because of that, and they're not actually helping you, get rid of those people. Get rid of them, or at least talk to them. Talk to them first. And if they're not willing to understand you, then they will just benefiting from you being an approval addict and you being a people pleaser.
Mm,
Realize who's in your life, who in your life who is causing that and making things worse for you, and you getting into in the way of your healing journey, and kind of pull back. Because at the end of the day, your healing journey and who you are, you finding yourself, is the most important thing. And it's so healing, and it's such a beautiful thing when you get there, when you start to get there. And learning to just love yourself and creating this light inside you that you just look into and you tap into. And I'm like, wow, I love myself, and caring about yourself is such a beautiful thing.
it
It
really
can't
is.
be beat. It can't be beat.
It cannot be beat. Like it's a certain
Yeah.
amount of peace that like I'm like,
Hmm.
damn, like I didn't
Yeah.
have this when I was younger. Like I'm
Hmm.
not even all the way there yet, but like
Hmm.
the fact that I was so on the complete opposite side, whoo, child, like I needed a lot
I've
of help.
Yeah,
Like,
and here's the thing, and I'm not even speaking. This is not speaking down at how at all. I've seen the change in her. It's crazy. I always tell her, and I'm like, wow, you're just like such a different person now, and I see how much you're growing and how amazing you are. Like she's always been amazing. She's always been amazing, but I'm like, I can also see you healing and how
mhm.
much you've changed, and it's such a beautiful thing. So you feel it, but I want to let you know that I see it, and other people see it as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And I feel like even my adoptive parents, they see it as well. And
Mhm.
I think me being able to take responsibility for my own life and have ownership
Mhm.
of who I am has
Yes.
really helped kind of like strengthen our relationship, you know?
Mhm.
And, you know, for example, like just small things where I remember I used to like feel bad because I was like, I don't connect with my adoptive parents. Like I used to cry to my
Yes.
I used to cry to my mentor, like, I don't know what to say to them. I don't connect with my adoptive parents. And the
Mhm.
topics they want to talk about, I'm not interested in this, and
Yeah.
vice versa. And
Mhm.
but I had to take ownership, like, okay,
Mhm.
like, what am I interested in? What can I bring to this relationship? And like,
Mhm.
what areas am I not interested in when it comes to our like relationship,
Mhm.
right? Like, how much can I put out?
Mhm.
Like, saying
Mhm.
that, like, yes, I have responsibility and
Mhm.
I can make those decisions as an adult. Like I'm no longer like a child. Like they don't have to dictate how the relationship works. It's a
Mhm.
two-way relationship. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Two parties. So I have to
Mhm.
bring my full self. They bring their full selves, and then we just create something beautiful and something new.
Mhm.
Something else I wanted to talk about that we have on the notes, which I really like, is wanting to be the best in the room. And this is something
Oh, girl, I was literally gonna talk about that too. Ooh, we connected. We
I know. I was like,
connected.
you had the approval addicts. I was going to talk about that. But yeah, so it's like I struggled with this so much. Like I cannot even tell you how bad it was for me. Like wanting to feel like I was the best. If I wasn't getting attention, if people weren't looking at me, like if I was talking and someone else got the attention, maybe because they were smarter, right?
Mhm.
They were speaking with more intellect, or they
Yeah.
knew more about a specific topic, that would boil me up like so much. I would feel a certain type of way, and I would kind of shut down the rest of the
Yeah.
conversation. This happened a lot, like in my house. Actually, I remember we had, when I was living with my family, my parents, we had some housemates, like college housemates. They would like cook in exchange for like cheaper living arrangements, because we had like a
Mhm.
cottage in the back of our house. And I
Mhm.
remember they would come, we would all have dinner, and like, so I remember just like feeling really frustrated at times, where I felt like the housemates got more attention than I did when we were at the dinner table talking. Even when it comes to beauty, like I feel like I
Mhm.
had to be the most beautiful woman that walked
Mhm.
in. My hair had to be the best. The fashion had to be so unique that nobody could touch me. Just stuff like that, where it was like
Yeah.
superficial, but to me it meant the world. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I know you
No,
have a lot to say about that too.
I totally get it, honey. I feel you. With the
Yeah.
only difference between you and I never like did outward things. I just internalized it deeply. So I like went into a shell and kind of made myself small in a way and felt like I'm not good enough. You're just a terrible person. Nobody loves you. Like that was my internal dialogue where I also felt like I had to be the best in the room. I had to be the prettiest. Like if you're not the prettiest, if you're not looking at you and you don't get compliments when you're going out, you're just not loved. You're not worthy of love.
Yeah.
And of course that stems from, being given up, because give up a child, they're going to feel like they're not worthy of anything. Like your parents, the ones who were supposed to, your birth parents, the ones who were supposed to give you the love and teach you how the world is, and they gave you up. I mean, that just destroys a person internally for the longest. So and I think part of that also stemmed from my adoptive, being growing up in an adoptive setting as well. And the only way I felt like I could get good at, being seen as something or worthy of attention is I had to be good. I had to be the best at things. Now that's me internally. That's how I felt. Now, could it be that my parents actually did that on purpose, or was it just not like that? Which I don't think they did that on purpose. Of course, I don't think so. But in my internal dialogue, that's how I felt. And moving through the world, even as an adult now, it's still something that I work on, where I have to like tell myself, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the most beautiful in the room. You don't have to have the best thing that you're saying. It's okay. And it's okay to have other people who are better than you, and who, especially when it comes to intellect, because you are learning from them. You want to be able to learn from them. You want to have that and gain those skills. If you want those skills, gain them. So it's okay to have that. And to realize no matter what you do in life, and no matter how beautiful you are, you could be the most beautiful woman in the world, there will always be somebody better than you at everything. And
Hmm.
that's just how life is. It's just how life is, and you cannot help it. So I struggled with that for a while, and I had to go to therapy and dig deep and figure out where it was coming from, because it was coming from somewhere, you know? And once you find those things and realize where they're coming from, it kind of takes the pressure off. It
It
kind of makes you
does.
breathe a little bit. It's like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. There's nothing wrong with me. I've just been through traumatic stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure this life thing out. I'm just, as an adopted child, not only, dealing with what comes with adoption, but also being an adult and all the
Mhm.
different things that comes with being an insecure person at times, and just like the normal everyday things that a lot of us women, men, doesn't matter what gender that you are or you see yourself as, we just all face certain things in life, and that's just the normal part of life. And but don't dismiss that stuff though. When you feel that stuff, don't dismiss it. I want you to like sit and think about it, and try to figure out, where's it coming from? Why am I feeling like this? And once you do it, it helps. It helps a lot.
No, it definitely does.
Yeah.
It really, really does. And like this topic, I think so many adoptees can really relate to. You know what I mean? Like I don't know one adoptee that can't relate to this topic, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
Um, especially if you were adopted and you're your adoptive parents had like biological children, like the feeling of needing attention and validation, I think is
Mhm.
so strong. Fortunately for me, like when I was adopted, I was raised up as like a single child because my adoptive siblings were off to college already.
Mhm.
So I did get full attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't always the best because I wish it was like evened out between me and other people.
She
But
was
I
how
did
was a rambunctious child, y'all? How was
I
a rambunctious
I
child?
was, and but I still got that kind of attention I think I really needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, y'all, we know it's hard out here, and it's gonna take time for you get to to get to a point
Mhm.
where you feel um, good in your skin and confident in your skin. It's a
Mhm.
process, and this looks different at every single stage of our lives. Even
Mhm.
for myself, like intellect wise, like I don't even feel the pressure anymore. Like if someone else is smart, like I'm like I just relax. That means I don't have to talk as much. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You take it over and I'll listen, right.
Especially my boyfriend, because he's like my boyfriend, he's very smart and he loves to talk. Like he can like I think I've only met like maybe one or two other people that are smarter than my man, which is like my dad and like my mom, maybe my sisters or something like that. But because they're like freaking computers, they know
I mean,
everything.
yeah, your siblings went to MIT. Yeah, they're very, very
They know
intelligent.
any and every topic. And
Yeah.
so my boyfriend, he loves to talk and he gets really excited to talk about different topics and he'll go in depth. Like it's never superficial level. It's like really deep. And whenever he talks, I'm just like, I'm just gonna take a back seat and just relax and just I don't even need to be in the conversation, So I don't feel as much pressure because before I used to feel a lot of pressure
Yeah.
to bring something to the conversation, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
not always needed. But
Yeah.
I do struggle still when it comes to like beauty. Like that's something I know I still a little bit struggle with.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're in a relationship and you're out and you're like, is my man looking at do they think they're beautiful?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
everyone who's in a relationship deals with that naturally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's very loving, he's very trusting. So I don't believe that. But those are
Mhm.
some of my thoughts popping up.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, like if we're out at the club, for example, where the whole vibe is to look like that chick, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm gonna feel like, oh, I need to bring it
The
down.
baddest in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on that. It's gotten better, but I'm still working on that. I'm sure some of you guys can relate with me.
Mhm.
But other areas, I feel like because I've done so much work, I don't really feel the need to overcompensate.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was younger, I had this one girlfriend. Um, she ended up not being the best of friends, anyways, but there was a time where I was visiting her house and I was meeting her family for the first time. And I used to have this bad habit, again, feeling like I needed attention, where I would overtalk people really bad
Mhm.
because I felt like they needed to hear me. My voice needed to be heard. They need to see my personality and they need to, so I would talk to, and for me, I always had to be the person that said the last word. So
Mm.
it would be very annoying sometimes to talk to me. So I remember we were talking and like, so I was just talking up a storm. And I remember after she was like, "Oh my gosh, Howard, like, why did you were just over talking and like just talking too much?" And even my mom was like looking some type of way, and I was like, I didn't even realize that. I think she felt like I was taking too
Mhm.
much attention, you know what I mean, upon myself. So
Mhm.
everyone outside could see it, and
Mhm.
I knew was happening, but I just didn't know that that was not the most effective
Mhm.
thing to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It wasn't being received the way you thought it was being received.
Exactly. And so I struggled with
Mhm.
that for a very long time where I felt like I had to talk and be the one shining. But now I'm like, and part of it was also just being insecure because I know myself naturally. I am more of an introvert. And I
Mhm.
remember when I was younger, like I would be like, not the mom of the group, but the quiet one. I didn't like that. I wanted because I was rolling with people who partied and were hella extroverted. So I was trying to keep up. But in my
Mhm.
natural state, I'm more quiet and more reserved.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed that now as an adult, but when I was younger, I was
Mhm.
so insecure about that, and I felt like I need to be an extrovert and talk and get the attention, like, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I totally get that. And yeah,
mhm.
and the thing is though, you say all that, but I'm trying to think when we were younger if I remembered any of that. But I'm like, I don't really remember that. But then again, it could be because we've always been so comfortable with each other. We are not afraid to be who we
Yeah,
are with each other and without feeling like we're being judged. So I don't think I didn't see that side of you like that, but that could be it. Um, but yeah, I've never really had that. All of the stuff that you're saying, I never really saw it like that. I
Well, I
really did.
think what it was, like, for example, that one girl, like, I think she thought that way as well. Like, she needed attention. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
with each other for
mm-hmm,
attention. There was other things that happened later on where I was like, damn, this girl is not a good friend at all. Like she
mm-hmm,
wants to be that girl, like someone has to choose her. You know what I mean? And like so we had a lot of power struggle in that way. So if I'm with
mm-hmm,
someone who I can feel that they are also attention seeking, I have to be
mm-hmm.
the one. I have to be
You gotta out attention
I
seekers.
got to out attention, you know, but now I'm like, whenever I
Yeah.
see people that need attention or whatever, I mean, either I don't give them attention, I don't really care, or I don't even see it as that. I'm just like, I mind
Mhm.
my own business. I don't even care. Like, I let
Yeah.
them get the attention, you know, because that's
Yeah,
what they need,
because
that's what they want, and it's
it can be
peaceful.
yeah, because it can be so exhausting trying to do that all the time. It's exhausting. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I also want to add into this conversation, I feel like adoptive parents who already have their biological children also kind of struggle with this because when you are the child, the new child in the house, all the attention is going to be on you for a while. And now they
Mhm.
have to share that attention. So I think they struggle with that too, doing and saying things. Because my sister had that. And a lot of us saw it a lot too. We're like, why does she always feel like she always had to like one up you, Emily? Like she always feels like she got to say something. And I saw it too. And for a while, I'm like, why is she doing that? But then now growing up and realizing why she was doing that, because she was also trying to get the attention. She was struggling with what I was struggling. So we can recognize that. And as an adoptive parent watching this, I encourage you to also look at your own children to make sure that they are not showing the same behavior as well. To also pay attention to that as well, because that's something that I can see with them struggling as well. Because now they have to share the attention. It was just them for the longest. All of a sudden, this new child came in, and especially if they have a lot of traumatic things and they need therapy, they need help being in the hospital, and then now all the attention is going to be on them, and they're going to feel like I have to do something to be seen. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And for you guys to know, so this topic was inspired by this book I read, and it's right here. It's called "Authentically, Uniquely You."
Hmm.
It's by Joyce Meyer or
Oh, I
Mayer.
love her. Oh, I love her. I have
Amazing.
like
You
that
have to
woman
read.
has gotten me through some stuff.
Yeah, she
Absolutely. She's
girl.
amazing.
This lady is amazing. Like she writes so authentically and it's
Yeah.
so easy to read. That's the one thing when I started reading, I was like, oh, this is easy book. And it
Mhm.
just everything made sense and it's just real. You know what I mean? It's not like a lot of fluff. She tells
Mhm.
it about her life. Like she's a pastor, I believe. And
Mhm.
she was like she was sexual or SA
Mhm.
by her father. And so
Mhm.
she talks a lot about that in this book. And this is where this topic comes from because for the longest time,
Mhm.
she always felt like there was something wrong with her. Why would your own father do something like
Mhm.
that, sexually, you know, assault you? And
Mhm.
so she always felt like there was something wrong with her. So she was there was a lot of dysfunction in her life and
Mhm.
mentally and these are the topics we're talking about is stuff that she had to deal with. She wasn't adopted, but she dealt with the
Mhm.
same stuff and she talks about how this notion of feeling like there's something wrong with you, never thinking, oh, what's right with me, it's always what's wrong with me. it's
Mhm.
so it's so like prevalent in with adoptees, people who are adopted
Mhm.
and given away by, you know, when they're young. So that's why we wanted to talk about this because it really hit
Yeah.
the spot for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, if you want to start your healing journey and feeling like and not feeling like that anymore, pick up that book, read it. She has a lot of good other books too. There was another author that is also really good. I can't remember her name, but if I remember, we'll like talk about her or talk something. I'll
Yeah.
slide it in the next video or make a comment about it. But
Yeah.
go ahead and get on your healing journey. Thank you again for coming and watching another episode. We appreciate you guys for your support and the love that you give us on this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Till next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.